I think most of us can agree that the archaeology relic system is actually a pretty decent design, but the execution, well, it leaves a lot to be desired, at least in my opinion. The chronode cost, a lot of relics that are just very useless, and some of them should just simply be quality of life. In this video, I want to be going over all of that, so let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on guys, my name is Chevalric and today we're going to be talking about archaeology and in more specific, the relic system. Because yeah, sure, I do still think that archaeology is the best skill and I still think that it's the best design skill. Before someone starts commenting, because I recently just made a video about what the best skill in Runescape is and I was claiming it's archaeology and now I'm making a video criticizing archaeology. I still think it's a great skill, but the relic system, well, yeah, that's this entire video. I don't think it's that great. I think there needs to be a lot of changes to it. But if you're going to enjoy this video, definitely leave a like. Let me know in the comment section down below. What kind of relics do you use? Do you ever switch out your relics? Why do you not switch out your relics? Or why do you switch out your relics? And just in general, do you like the system? Or do you think it's just a bit random? Or just kind of there to make archaeology relevant after training the skill? Just let me know. I'm very curious to see what you guys think. Subscribe if you're new. Go follow me on Twitch. I'm live every single day at 6 p.m. game time. Link in the description. Join the Discord as well to just talk and stuff. Also, I have a clan if you want to join it. Also join Discord. Just ask me. And without further ado, let's go into the video. I know what a lot of you are probably thinking right now. Jeff, there is one simple fix for this entire problem, and that is just making the chronode cost abundant, which it's very true. Like, literally, the entire fix to this whole video would just be if they made it so you unlock a relic by paying a set amount of chronodes, which is the currency within the archaeology skill, to unlock it. And once you've unlocked it, you can freely switch them out. Because as it stands right now, you need to pay a cost every single time you're switching out a relic, making it so that a lot of people just don't want to switch out relics, and especially for Iron Man who actually need to grind the chronodes, they definitely do not switch it out because you need to grind more for even more chronodes, right? And that's not really what you want to be doing. And I understand Jax's concept with it, like making chronodes relevant within the skill and keeping the price slightly up so it's actually a moneymaker. But at the same time, it makes the entire relic system, which I think is a good design, because I like my skills to be relevant outside of its pocket. A lot of people might be cynical and critical about it, being like, oh yeah, they just made the relic system to be so that you would use archaeology outside of just training the skill and making it relevant somewhere else. And yes, they did. And I like that when they do it with skills. That's why Invention is such a good skill. And that's what, in my opinion, should be done with a lot of skills, making it so it's relevant elsewhere besides its pocket dimension of training it, right? But right now, people are not switching out relics. That's either because, well, you have just a good relic setup, or some of them are just underwhelming, and some of them should just be quality of life and be replaced. So let's just start, right, positivity first, with the ones that just make a lot of sense. I think all the PVM ones, like Death Ward, Conservation of Energy, Fear of the Small, the Darroch's Relic, which I always forget the name of, but pretty much the passive effects of those, I think, are all pretty decent. Like, they're great. Like, I think that it's good for PVM to have those buffs, and it makes things more relevant, right? Like, the Darroch's Relic pretty much made it so the amulet from Barrows, which is the Forsaken amulet, around release, it was like 50 or 60 mil, just fully like making Barrows a very relevant moneymaker, because it's only 1 in 100, right? And it's a very good effect, because the lower your health get, the more damage you do. Same with Fear of the Small, like the basic abilities you're doing generates more adrenaline. Perfect. Like, really good. And that goes for a lot of those relics, like the PVM ones. I'm not going to go over every single relic in the game, so don't worry. But I think they're just good. I think it's good, and it's good to mix and match whatever fits your playing style. And certain playing styles just require slightly different relic setups. And I think that is an interesting design. Another thing that I think is great and is a good example of just a relic that's just, it's a bit more niche, but it's good. It's like Death Note. It notes all the bones you're doing, making certain moneymakers very relevant, like Frost Dragons, because you can just stay there infinitely without bringing note paper. Obviously, right now, note paper is not really that expensive anymore, but at the time of release of archaeology, note paper was a lot more expensive. I think at the time it was sitting at around 2k, so you'd be making 2k loss, and with the Death Note relic you wouldn't, because everything is noted and it makes a lot of things AFK. It's great. Same with bait and switch and always adse. That's the cooking the fish whilst you're fishing and deburning the logs whilst you're woodcutting. Great. It's just great quality of life, or well, not quality of life, it's just a great niche use and actually add something to the relic, and it's a great design, at least in my personal opinion. And those, I think, are just some examples of relics that I think are very well designed and should not be quality of life, or they are not underwhelming. They're worth using, right? Like, they're 100% worth using because they do something. They add something extra that, is worth unlocking. However, the ones that I'm going to be mentioning now are just underwhelming. And because of the chronode cost, like, I'm not saying these are necessarily bad, but I feel like because of the chronode cost, you wouldn't really be switching these out, right? Like, the Abyssal Link is one that would have it so that you have infinite teleports. I'm someone who does PVM, right? And I do a lot of clues as well, because that's some of my favorite content in the game. But I would never consider using Abyssal Link because I could just use one rune pouch and just a separate rune, or even if I use combination runes, I have enough. And I get that maybe it's useful for Iron Man, right? But then again, do an hour of rune crafting and you have enough runes to last you for tens and tens of hours of clue scrolls, because that's where you probably be using your most runes. But that one is such a good example of one that I would probably use if there was no chronode cost. I would be like, oh, I'm doing clues, so I'm just quickly going to switch it out, because you can easily do it with your archaeology cape. But because it costs chronodes, I'm like, well, I'm never going to use it because I need to pay another 7k chronodes to just activate my PVM relic again. So yeah, same with the Inspire effects that increase experience. I think they're great. Like, I think it's nice. So when you consider, I don't know, you want to train woodcutting, you want to get 2% more experience, sure, you're going to activate it and just do it. But right now, it feels like you're a bit stuck to whatever you choose. So for example, it's something that's so underwhelming, but very useful to use if there was no cost, yet again, because 2% XP is very nice, but if you're just going to do a couple of hours of woodcutting and then go back to PVM again, why? Like, why would you spend those chronodes? I mean, I know you make it back, and I know it's not expensive, but it's just tedious. I mean, the whole switching out is also tedious, but at least make it worth to switch out, because I like the idea of combining some of these relics, right? Another thing as well, one that kind of leans more to just being useless, is Oriol's Mask. It's pretty much the mobile perk, but passively. But then again, just get mobile. Like, mobile's not a different perk to get, right? And one that I find very useful, but is yet again one that, unless you're really tryharding, is Unexpected Diplomacy. It pretty much gives you extra favor for anything you do, whether it's Scots Restoration 2 favor, Manifold's favor, or whatever. And it's just one of those ones that is very useful to use when you want to gain the favor. But then again, if you're just going to hand in favor, like in one go, just activating it and then deactivating it again, then it's just, yet again, it's not worth switching it out. But these are not the worst ones. I think there's a group that literally is even worse. If you didn't know, the Sticky Fingers relic, which recently has been replaced and actually just increased your pickpocketing rate of 50%, which I think is a good relic, used to be what we have right now. When you pickpocket, you pretty much just keep on pickpocketing until you get caught, like how elves always used to work. That should have been a quality of life, and now is a quality of life. Same with the Persistent Rage, where you kept the adrenaline after you get out of combat, and now it's with the puzzle box. Way better, because I feel like that is just quality of life. And it's one of those relics that you would otherwise not really use as a high-level PVMer, because, well, it's a PVM relic, but all the other PVM relics are way more useful, so you just gotta stall. You kind of only use it when you want to be lazy, like me. That's why I always used it, and that's about it. And I think some of these relics fall in that category, and some of them are just, in general, they should just be quality of life. One thing that came to mind straight away for me is the Divine Conversion. If you don't know what it is, you unlock it at 98 archaeology, right? Quite late on, and it pretty much makes it so when you do divination, you throw all the energy in at once. Divination is one of the slower skills to train, and this actually makes it fast. And I generally think that it should just be 100% just regular divination, just tossing it all in, so people are actually training it and not having to get 98 archaeology first to be able to train the skill how it's supposed to be trained instead of doing caches. I think the rework that they did on divination, making it a lot more viable to train, is really good. However, you still kind of need the Divine Conversion relic to actually make it a proper training method compared to caches. I mean, caches, you could argue, will always be better, but still, Divine Conversion should be a passive unlock from something maybe, but should not be a relic. And yet again, it should be solved if the chronode cost wasn't there, but it is there. Another thing that just makes no sense to me is Deathless, where you have no cost at Dungeoneering dying. Sure, I get it. When you die Dungeoneering, you get less experience. However, shouldn't that be unlocked from dungeoneering itself? Or should it not just be there to begin with? Because dungeoneering is tedious as it is, so why make it even more tedious? Sure, have a penalty for dying, but maybe have it used for even more dungeoneering points, like 500k or 1 million points or whatever. It's just another one of those things. Like, it's why? Same with the passive luck rings. Brother, we have 10 fingers. Where's our extra ring slot? Just give it to us. Like, it's not that difficult. Same with endurance, infinite run energy. Why? We pretty much already have infinite run energy, and we've done a quest where you unlock pools where you can get infinite run energy. Why not unlock it so you go into the pool and you have infinite run energy for a week, just like the totems, or just permanently for all I care, right? Things like that, like, they just make no sense. But I think one that even, I don't want to say this is the worst one. I think Divine Conversion is definitely the worst one, but one to me that just, this one, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit here and White Knight Archaeology like I always do, but Slayer Introspection, where you pretty much pick the amount of Slayer creatures you're gonna get, is at 118 or 119 Archaeology, right? Very, very late on. The chances are, by this time, you probably already have 120 Slayer. I mean, I first did Archaeology, then did Slayer, but pretty much it makes it so you can pick the minimum, the regular, or the maximum amount of Slayer creatures you want to be slaying. However, how is this not a Slayer reward? This really just makes me think about Death's Choice, where you can pick your Slayer task from, or sorry, your Reaper task from Death every once. Well, it's a 1 in 4 chance for you to pick it, but still. And it just makes me think of that. Why is it not a Slayer reward? Why can we not buy that with Slayer points and actually give a better use than unlocking some task? Because quite frankly, besides skipping, blocking, and preferring tasks, there's not really a use for the Slayer points in RuneScape 3 as much, for example, as old school RuneScape, but this is such a good thing to actually give Slayer points a use. Make it 2,000 Slayer points for all I care. I don't know, but make it so that you unlock it from Slayer and not from Archaeology. It just doesn't sit right with me, and it doesn't feel right with me. But these are just some examples, and as I said, the biggest fix that they could just do is make it so you unlock a one-time fee, make it like 10 or 15k chronos, and then you can switch out freely. Whatever. It would be great. That is just a fix in my opinion, but these are just some of the relics that I think are underwhelming, make sense, or should just be quality of life. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of this video, which relics you like, which relics you not like the video, subscribe if you're new, and my name is Chevalric, and I shall see you guys in my next video.